Nursing home residents began receiving coronavirus vaccine doses on Monday as the U.S. government and two of the nation's largest pharmacy chains kicked off the next phase of vaccine distribution. The U.S. has authorized 2 vaccines against the virus, one developed by Pfizer and Germany's BioNTech that was cleared for use on December 11th, and one by Moderna that was approved last Friday. Some 2.9 million shots of the Pfizer vaccine were distributed last week and mostly given to healthcare workers, and some of the first Moderna injections were administered on Monday in Connecticut.
Anytime you're ready.
President-elect Joe Biden was among those on Monday to receive a COVID-19 Pfizer vaccination in a public display to boost confidence in its safety.
I'm doing this to demonstrate that people should be prepared when it's available to take the vaccine. There's nothing to worry about.
The long-awaited hope provided by the vaccines was somewhat overshadowed, however, by a new highly infectious strain of the virus in Britain that on Monday forced several countries to close their borders to those traveling from the UK. India, Pakistan, Poland, Spain, Switzerland, Sweden, Russia, Jordan, and Hong Kong suspended travel for Britons. And New York Governor Andrew Cuomo called upon the U.S. government to do the same, or at least make sure that every passenger traveling to the U.S. from Britain is tested before boarding his or her flight, something Cuomo said more than 120 other countries had done.
Why don't we mandate testing before people get on the flight or halt the flights from the UK now?
Cuomo said he personally asked the 3 airlines that fly to New York from Britain, British Airways, Delta, and Virgin Atlantic, to test passengers before they board. Both British Airways and Delta have agreed to do so. The U.S. death toll has accelerated in recent weeks to 2,627 per day on a 7-day average, with the total number now at more than 317,000.
France will reopen its borders to passengers from England on Wednesday, ending a blockade intended to stop the spread of a new coronavirus variant, but which has held up thousands of trucks before Christmas. Much of the world shut its borders to the United Kingdom after a significantly more transmissible mutated coronavirus variant was discovered spreading swiftly across southern England. With long lines of trucks snaking to the horizon in England and some supermarket shelves stripped just days before Christmas, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson scrambled to get French President Emmanuel Macron to lift the ban on goods transported from Britain. Truckers were told not to travel to the Kent region, home to England's most heavily used rail and ferry lines. The European Commission advised that non-essential travel to and from Britain should be discouraged, but said that people heading home should be allowed to do so provided they undergo a COVID-19 test or quarantine for 10 days. Late on Tuesday, a deal was reached with Paris to allow French and other EU residents to return home, providing they have a negative COVID test that is less than 72 hours old. Britain said it would begin handing out tests at multiple locations on Wednesday, but cautioned that the process would take time.
BioNTech said on Tuesday the COVID-19 vaccine it developed with Pfizer should still be effective against the newly discovered variant of the virus circulating in the UK. Chief Executive Ugur Sahin said the company is testing whether the vaccine works to protect against the mutation and expects results in the next 2 weeks.
It has 9 mutations, not only a single mutations, and we don't know at the moment if our vaccine is also able to provide protection against this new variant. But scientifically, it is highly likely that the immune response by this vaccine also can deal with the new virus variants.
Sahin confirmed more vaccine results about asymptomatic transmission are also on the way.
We expect that end of January or in February we will be able to update and provide information whether the vaccine is able to prevent asymptomatic infection.
BioNTech is preparing to send 12.5 million doses to EU countries by the end of the year, after approval from Brussels on Monday. This week, countries across the globe shut their borders to Britain, causing travel chaos and raising the prospect of food shortages. The World Health Organization has also cautioned against major alarm from the variant, saying this was a normal part of a pandemic's evolution.
Long lines forming again at supermarkets in the UK, that after warnings Monday from Tesco and Sainsbury's. The country's two biggest supermarket chains said fresh fruit and vegetables could soon run short. Supplies are being held up by virus-related travel bans imposed by France and other countries. That has seen trucks stuck at ports on either side of the English Channel. On Tuesday, ministers said shoppers shouldn't worry. They say food supplies are plentiful and there is no need for panic buying. But industry isn't totally reassured. The British Retail Consortium, which represents major stores, said there could be gaps on shelves if the transport issue isn't solved soon. It said the borders needed to be running smoothly by Wednesday. A spokesman pointed out that 70% of the soft fruit eaten by Britons at this time of year comes through Channel ports. Hopes for a deal have risen. The BBC cited France's Europe minister as saying Britain and France would restart freight movement by Wednesday. It's thought any deal will involve mass testing for truck drivers.
South Korea is battling a new outbreak of coronavirus infections, putting its no-lockdown strategy to the test. The surge has rattled the country that for much of 2020 was held up as a COVID-19 success story. On Tuesday, it moved to shut down all ski resorts and winter tourist spots from this Thursday until early January. There's also a ban on gatherings of more than 4 people in Seoul and its surrounding areas, though funerals and weddings are exempt. Disinfection officer Yoon Tae-ho said people should heed the rules across the whole country.
We also strongly recommend that people should refrain from having a social gathering of 5 or more people nationwide. Considering infection cases among family members and friends, restaurants need to ban a reservation and an entry for 5 or more people. If they breach these measures, they will be fined.
The national government has so far resisted calls to impose Phase 3 in the country's anti-COVID-19 plans. That would mean the toughest category of social distancing rules, essentially locking down Asia's 4th largest economy. South Korea announced its highest number of daily deaths on Monday with 24 fatalities, and there were a record number of new cases on Sunday. This third wave of the virus has been particularly hard for contact tracers to get on top of, as it emerged in the densely populated capital region.
Two very different takes on the world from investors Tuesday. Stocks in Asia tumbled. Shanghai's benchmark index closed down by almost 1.9%, marking its worst one-day fall since September. Hong Kong's Hang Seng and other indexes around the region also closed lower. Investors there spooked by more signs of rising US-China tensions. That after Washington published a list of Chinese and Russian firms it says have military ties that restrict them from buying some US goods. Asian investors also still digesting the growing concern over a new virus strain. But it was a different story when Europe opened for business. Indexes there soared higher from the open. The Pan-European Stoxx 600 was up over 1% in early trade. That after health worries sparked its biggest one-day drop in nearly 2 months on Monday. European investors were buoyed by the news of a big new stimulus plan in the US. Lawmakers there finally agreed a package of measures totalling almost $900 billion. The EU's move to approve the Pfizer vaccine also helping, with airline stocks among the gainers. Air France-KLM gained over 5% in early trade, with EasyJet and British Airways owner IAG also on the up. After an initial dip, even London's FTSE index clawed its way higher. Sentiment there remains fragile, however, with the country almost cut off by virus-related travel bans. Some hope Tuesday though, with ministers saying they could strike a deal with France to resume freight shipments.
Two distant planets hard to spot with the naked eye. But on Monday night, Jupiter and Saturn seem to have become a double planet in the night sky for stargazers in the northern hemisphere. A bright spot to cap off what has been a very fraught year for many. Astronomers call this the Great Conjunction. But given the timing, many are calling it the Christmas star and speculating about whether they also crossed paths 2 millennia ago to form a bright light that guided the biblical three kings. Jupiter and Saturn are our solar system's two largest planets, and although their orbits briefly aligned them from the Earthling's standpoint, in reality the two frozen gas spheres are hundreds of millions of miles apart. The last time they had such a celestial meeting was in the year 1226, long before telescopes were invented. Those who missed it may get another chance to see the phenomenon in March 2080.